Hi, are you sick and tired of paying hundreds of dollars a month for cable or dish? GNR TV is your answer. These guys have an incredible 100% legal product that is a cord cutter's dream. For as low as $25 a month, you will get over 400 HD channels, including all major sports packages, pay per views, premium movies, and entertainment. To get started, all you need is a streaming device, such as an Amazon Fire Stick, internet, and a desire to save a ton of cash. No contracts, no credit checks, no hidden fees. I myself have been a subscriber, and I must say this service is amazing. To learn more, search GNR TV on Facebook or Instagram, and I will also be posting a link on my pages to check out on my podcast website. Lastly, for first-time subscribers, use promo code SIR30 to save $5 for your first month. GNR TV, streaming done right.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of almost all ages, with parental consent, the Sick Twisted Minds at Sacrificial Pawn Productions brings you a new style of horror film, like nothing you have seen before. There are no cops, no investigations. There is no backstory, no follow-up of the victims who were brutally tortured and murdered. Our story isn't about them. Normal Terror is about a single dad struggling to make ends meet. His son is his first priority. He goes to work, pays his bills, and is generally a great dad. The twist comes after he puts his son to bed. This is where he releases his stress. Some people do yoga, some hit the gym, some go for runs, some people paint on a canvas. An anonymous source once wrote on an abandoned asylum wall, "I never understood people until I took one apart just to see how it worked." If you are rear-ended in traffic, most people's thought runs to anger and their primal instincts of hurting the other party. Sam Neill does not have the ability to stop that primal instinct. Let us take you into the mind of a killer. Normal Terror is a concept from the mind of Sam Mason, who wrote, directed, produced, and is starring in this new age feature film.
Let's get slicing and dicing with Sir Sturdy horror fans. On this podcast, you will hear me and a guest do some movie reviews, random funny horror chats, and whatever else comes to mind. So tune in, kick back, relax, and always remember, I'll see you in your nightmares.
Well, just Jason's mask.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I have another awesome, amazing guest, James Sweet. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, man, and I'm just gonna jump right into it. I see you and your team are making another I'm just saying another fan-made film, just in general. Jason Rising, a Friday the 13th fan-made film, which I did watch the trailers, and I was just like, wow, love them. I love the take.
Awesome.
I like how you guys. Now, if I'm not mistaken, forgive me if I'm mistaken, there's thieves that I don't know who or what they steal from, but they pretty much go to Camp Crystal Lake, and they're in for a big surprise.
That's Voorhees. Different
Oh,
film.
sorry. Which,
No
wow.
worries.
I know I just watched it. Okay, can you explain yours then?
Well, ours is about some fugitives from the Wessex County Corrections Farm that escape, and they end up on their escape route having to go through Camp Crystal Lake, and
Okay.
they're tracked by some fugitive recovery marshals, U.S. Marshals, and local police, Officer Pete Daltrey, and they think that they're the ones who are in charge of the hunt when they find out otherwise.
Yep. See, now, I did see that. I just got them mixed up because they're not the same, but kind of similar in a sense with the
Right.
criminals going to that area. But now, so, is Jason your favorite slasher? Is that why you
Yes.
guys... Okay.
Absolutely.
Mine too. I was going to say, is that why you guys went with that? And then, so what got you into making movies?
Well, I started out. I was a musician for a long time in my younger days, and I started doing haunts as well. I was a haunter for a number of years, and eventually became an actor
Okay.
and became a union member for the SAG and got some roles on a few television shows
Oh, that's cool.
and worked in some film. And I always had the desire to be the creative side of it rather than in front of the camera. I've always loved the idea of being behind the camera
Hmm.
and writing and producing, and on this one I'm directing. But yeah, eh, I've always had a love for Friday the 13th ever since I started doing haunts and I was middle school days.
Hmm.
So it was always my you know, first go-to as far as if I was going to do something like this would be it.
I got you there. Now, is there a reason why Jason is your favorite? I mean, besides the fact that he's the best.
I think it's just one of those things where Jason was probably the one that always scared the shit out of me.
Okay, I like that.
Nightmare on Elm Street, I loved Elm Street. Halloween, I love Halloween, but it was just something about Jason that always just scared the crap out of me. That's I've always said that it's my teenage Frankenstein. Growing up, that was always the one. I remember in middle school, we
Hmm.
used to have art class. I believe it was seventh grade, and I made a paper mache hockey mask
Oh,
in art class and wore it for my Halloween costume.
that's awesome.
And I mean, it looked terrible, but it it didn't matter. I got to be Jason,
Yeah.
and I loved it ever since I was 12 years old. So
Yep. See, I get that though. For me, I think the biggest reason why I like Jason a lot is when I was a kid, USA Network, Friday the 13th, that's what they played all day and night. Well, for the whole weekend was the Friday the 13th movies.
hmm
And so it was the most familiar to me as far as getting into horror. I've seen it probably more than any other horror movie I've ever seen as far as going through that whole franchise. And I'm just like, I loved it. Like, I looked forward to it. I look on the calendar as a kid, like, when's the next Friday the 13th? Oh, boom, it's just perfect. And it's summer, perfect. Perfect. I can watch this
right,
all day. And it just went from that to, growing up. And as an adult now, I still love it, still have the same love for it, maybe even more because you understand it more. And you get to see the documentaries, you get a few behind the scenes things. And you get to meet like I've gotten to meet the actors of some of the movies. Like I got to this past October I was on a panel at a con called Scaricon, and I was on there with the who was it? Tina,
hmm
the doctor, and what was his name in the movie? The Jean Jacket. Jean Jacket. I forgot. I'm the main guy.
Are you talking about Tom Matthews?
No, not Tom
Like,
Matthews. He was. It was part 7. Tina with the telekinesis
oh, okay, Rob was his name
in the
his
movie.
character name
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. I believe his real name is
Or
Kevin.
Nick, sorry, Nick. Nick was his name in the film.
Yes. Yep. But I got to be on a panel with them, me and a couple of my friends, and that was just amazing. Like I never thought that would happen. I'm like, wow. I mean, obviously as a kid, when we were kids, there was no such thing as podcast. There was no such thing as the internet, let alone podcast,
Right.
let alone podcasting. But then as an adult, I'm just like, this is cool just to go to a cons. And it went from that to me taking my podcast to a con. And you get a free table. Like when you take your podcast, you get a free table, you get 2 free passes. But they want you to do a couple panels, and I'm like, sign me up. Where do I sign? Of course I want to do
Right.
panels. And like they let you pick out the ones like, hey, which one did you want to do the most, and they'll go from there. And I think my first choice was Nightmare on Elm Street, and that's only because my brother's a huge fan, and he's not out.
hmm
He's out in Colorado, so I was gonna do it for him. And Friday the 13th was on there. Like, I just picked a bunch of them. And they're like, okay, well, somebody else wants to do Nightmare on Elm Street, but Friday the 13th is open. I was like, well, you know what? That's my favorite franchise. It's my favorite movie, so I'll do it. Sign me up for
Awesome.
that one.
Oh, that's
But
great.
have you guys done any cons, or do you plan on doing any cons if you haven't?
No, honestly, we haven't done anything like that yet. We've been, just focused on getting this film made,
Hmm.
and it gets busy when you're running these campaigns as well. So that's winding down, and now we're getting into shooting mode again,
Oh, that's
starting next week. So it's been busy, and we only have a few major ones out here. We have Rose City Comic Con. I know Wizard World comes out. I think that's a little bit later in the year, and I think there's one other one, but I haven't had a chance to get out to any of them yet. But most likely Rose City Comic Con will be there, at least just to toolie around and people watch.
now. Where are you guys from?
We are up in the Portland and Washington area,
Okay.
Northwest.
Okay, I'm all the way in New York. But no, that's cool. That's real cool. I would love to see you guys at con. When you guys blow up, I would love to see you guys at a con out this way because I know it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that we get an opportunity to go out and meet some fans and meet some people that are into our film and everything, and it'd be great. It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Now, is it gonna be a YouTube release too, or you going straight to movie?
It's a Union New Media project, so it will go straight to YouTube. Obviously, we'll try to get it in some festivals and run it where we can, and obviously with the Blu-ray DVD perks and the DVDs have gone through the campaign. But yes, the plan is once it's finished and our release date, we'll be launching it on YouTube.
Awesome. I'll definitely be signed up for that. Now, do you guys have a date for a release date or not yet? Is it too soon?
We have one in mind. We just haven't. What we'll do is once we get through our principal photography stuff and we start getting into post-production, we'll let our backers know first.
Okay.
Kind of a perk for all the campaign backers. Just let them know the release date first, and then we'll announce it. I know we were shooting for fall initially, but I think with time now, we're looking a little bit closer towards end of fall.
Okay.
End of fall, beginning of winter, but we'll have an exact release date probably by the end of July.
Okay. Oh, that's good. That's really good. Now, I was asking that because there's a con I go to, the same one I was actually talking about. It's called ScareCon, and I just found this out a few weeks ago. They have 2 cons a year, that I knew. They have one in New England and they have one in Rochester, New York. And the one that's in Rochester, New York now, they have a film fest at this one. And I was going to say, maybe you guys can submit it there if the time is right. It's like, it'll be done like mid-October. The con will be mid-October. I want to say the weekend of the 18th, I believe, around that time. So I was going to say you guys can submit it to them. I would give you the guy's info to submit it to him if it was done by then. But
great. Yeah, we were pushing for that. I don't know. It just depends on post and everything and how much everybody's thought process on this is we didn't want to rush it.
Oh,
if it takes a little longer, we just want to make the best film we can, and we didn't want to put ourselves into a situation where we're running out of time and we have to rush things. We just want to take it as it comes, and when it's ready, it'll be ready, and it'll be better for it.
I respect that. As a fan, I highly respect that. Instead of just getting it out there just to get it out there, like, why don't we take our time with this, work out the little kinks that we know is in there, and fix whatever we want to fix, put it out great for the fans and for yourselves, which is awesome.
Yeah, it'll. I think people. Sometimes we're in this internet world now where everything's instant, and we think that we can get it right away and things are faster. But with films and things like this, sometimes it takes a little bit extra time, as well as planning, schedules. It's tough. It is tough trying to make one of these happen, but it's better for it. And
I agree.
We've done our second campaign run, which did really well. And that's also been one of the holdups as far as getting into production. We were able to shoot enough stuff to get our trailers out and everything, but now we're getting ready to go into full-blown shoot mode. So
that's so cool.
Ready to rock.
That's so cool. Now, how did you guys find the cast? Was it people you knew, or did you guys have like a casting call sort of thing?
A lot of it's people I knew. These are actors that are friends of mine, and that's one of the things that I've always tried to. Not all of them are people that I know
Yeah,
personally,
yeah.
but majority of them. Um, these people I've worked with before, and you know, being an actor, I know the
Hmm.
friends that I've worked with, and some of them were in one of the first films that I produced and wrote was called Blood and Sugar, and a lot of these people were in that film as well.
Blood and Sugar. Now, where can we find that?
That should be on YouTube.
I'm gonna have to
Just
look that up.
Blood and Sugar short film, I believe it is.
I'm definitely have to check
But
that out.
it was my learning experience. You know how to be a filmmaker. So you got to just get your feet wet sometimes and
Oh
just
yeah.
make something.
But
So
see,
that was my way to do it.
I haven't seen Blood and Sugar yet. I don't even know what it's about. I'm sure Blood and Sugar. I'm guessing. I don't know. But no, what I'm what I'm getting at is how you're saying just to get your feet wet. But it'll be cool to watch that and then watch the Jason Rising film just to see how much you've grown as a director, and you can just for yourself. But again, me as a horror fan, I'm like, wow, he went from this to this, which is amazing. So I gotta watch it. I got want anything of your work horror related, especially. I gotta see.
Thanks. Yeah, no, we enjoyed it. It was kind of a fun little dark twist on Alice in Wonderland
Okay.
with a cross between Limitless and it's got a very dark tone to it. It's about Illuminati uh, design drug that basically changes your physiology,
Mhm.
and it's made by the elite, out of the elite bloodline,
Mhm.
and Dan Kyle, who plays Jason, played Ghost, which he's an Illuminati hitman, and it's got a real dark tone to it, which is what I've moved into Jason Rising as well. It has a very dark tone, because we've been really not trying to do anything campy or anything like that. We want to make a horror film,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we want to keep with that. So, you know, all the things that we've been doing between Blood and Sugar and Jason Rising definitely has the same type of dark vibe that I'm
Mhm.
into. I know Carl Winery, he loves that dark tone as well, and so we're just it's a extension of us as creators. So
No, that's really cool. And not to change the well, it's not really change the subject because it's about Jason. But I see a Jason thing behind you, over your shoulder. I
oh,
keep staring at it. I keep looking at it, and I'm trying to figure
that's
out which one it's from.
my little Part 5 figure.
Okay, I think yes, part 5.
It's the only one I still have in the box. All the rest of them are out on display. So
But now, okay, what did you feel about part 5? Speaking since that's right behind you.
well, Part 5, first Friday 13th film I was able to see in the theater when I was a kid.
Okay.
Um, my favorite has been Part 4, final chapter, but um, that was the one that I saw in the theater for the first time, and when you're that age and you're seeing this stuff,
Mhm.
you're you love it regardless. You
Oh
love
yeah.
it. It was, although we didn't have Jason as our killer, was the Roy character. We still had, with the dream sequences, an extension of Ted White in a
Mhm.
sense. So, and the fact that it opened up with Corey Feldman as Tommy Jarvis, and that opening scene, I loved it. I love that stuff. Um, that it was a fun movie. I respected the idea that they, went with this guy impersonating Jason in a sense. I didn't think the story was terrible, and we that's the one thing about Friday 13th that I love so much, is that there's so many different incarnations of Jason, and the stories that's what makes it great. Being making a fan film is that we can kind of take it in our own direction,
Yeah.
and I think Part 5 is a good example of that.
I agree. I actually really did enjoy part 5 myself too. I really liked all of them. Like my least favorites is Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X. But overall, they're all fun movies. Like it's a movie, it's a series I can put on. Like any Friday the 13th, 9 times out of 10, that Friday, that weekend, I'm watching. I'll start from part one every single time, and watch like the whole series all the way up to the new one. And I include Freddy vs. Jason in that.
Wow.
It's a fun franchise to watch. And I remember when it first came out on DVD. I don't even know how many years ago that was now. When it first came out on DVD, there was like a little box set you can get, and my brother and I we went to go get it from well, I believe it was FYE. Got that. We watched that whole thing. We got it that Friday. I think we went to. This is before we started drinking alcohol. We were too young to drink alcohol, so we were either between 18 and 20, I'll say. Went to the store, got some Red Bull, candy, soda, probably had some pizza or whatever, and we watched that whole series that weekend. It's all we watched from. I'll say sun up to sundown, pretty much. That's all we were watching, in between sleeping and all that. And it's just. And I do it every year. Like I might not necessarily watch every single movie, but I will start from part one and then just go to as far as I can. Like my wife and I will do that now, and it's fun. It's a fun franchise, and I try to do that with a lot of horror franchises in general. Like if I'm gonna start from part one, I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna start from part one, I might as well watch the rest of them. Why not? Just to see how I feel about them now, and just to rewatch them, you revisit them, and hey, it's horror, so why not?
Well, I remember. I know this isn't Friday the 13th related, but when I was at that time period when I started growing up, enjoying horror and living for horror,
Hmm.
the radio station put out a something in the newspaper. This is when you had to check movie times in the newspaper.
Yes.
Still, we didn't have Fandango or all that.
Hmm.
So they had this announcement, and it was a very small little announcement. And I remember my mother telling me about it, and one of my best friends, we were the horror nerds. We always hung out. It's where I learned about Evil Dead and
Hmm.
Elm Street and every Texas Chainsaw Massacre, all that stuff growing up. And the radio station put out an ad. What they were doing was it was it was when Part 5, the uh, Nightmare on Elm Street came out.
Okay.
And what they were doing was playing all of the movies in a row at the theater up until part 5.
That's awesome.
And we were like, well, this sounds cool. And so we went. My mom dropped us off at the theater, and we went. And during that time, it was a huge theater too, and the theater was empty when we got there. It was finishing out Coming to America, I think, with Eddie Murphy.
Hmm.
And there was nobody there. Nobody was in the theater except my friend and I. And we were sitting in perfect seating. We were just like, huh. He goes, I'll be right back. I'm going to grab something get something to drink, some popcorn. I'm like, all right. A few minutes later, he comes running down the alley. He goes, holy crap, man. There's a huge amount of people out there. The theater was so full. They had people standing in the aisles.
Wow.
It was a blast. I mean, they had guys dressed like Freddy coming in. They
That's
were
awesome.
giving away prizes. It was an amazing night. And to sit there for that many hours from 7 p.m. until I think it got out around 2 in the morning
Hmm.
at the movie theater and watching all these movies with all these fans was an incredible experience. I'll never forget it.
That's really really cool.
Yeah, it was fun. I've never seen anything like that happen again, but I enjoyed it. It was great.
I didn't get a chance to experience anything like that as far as the movies, but I did get to see Nightmare on Elm Street, the original one, in theaters this past winter actually, because they had something special. I think it was all the Regal Cinema theaters. They had something going on for the 35th anniversary, I want to say.
Mhm.
And the cool thing about it was when you go to the movie, where I'm at, there was a snowstorm, so it was dead in the theater. But they were doing like instead of having $75 for one ticket, they were only about $8 or $9, maybe a little cheaper. Like the old school, even the popcorn was cheap. Like they were doing like the old school prices as far as affordable, so you can go in there,
Right.
take your date, take your wife or whatever. And my wife and I went to go see that, and it was just I've never got to see it on the big screen. I was born in '85, so I wasn't gonna be able to see it on the big screen then. But it was
Right.
just so amazing seeing that movie on the big screen. I was just like, wow. And I thought to myself, I was like, it'd be so amazing as if they had a theater that all they showed was classic horror movies. I feel, and me personally, as a horror fan, just being in the horror community more as far as with this podcast, being in horror groups on Facebook and going to all these cons, I know it would make a lot of money because it would bring out a lot of fans as far as new fans, old fans, going to see whatever, like going to see The Thing in theaters, going to see Jaws in theaters, Friday the 13th in theaters, like the original movies, and that would be awesome.
Well, see, they need a haunted house themed movie theater where you can go in and just all the different screens are showing horror.
Boom, there you go.
There it is.
4 or 5 different screens showing
next
4 or
business
5 different
venture.
movies, and I really do feel it would be a good for some if you can afford to take out the money to have yourself to build that theater or buy a theater. I think something like that would do well, and
Oh, yeah, I think
you
it'd be
don't even
great.
have to have like the top notch, up to date theater things. You can have more of the old school feel with it too. Obviously cleaner, newer, but still have the old school feel to it. But it doesn't have to be 3D, whatever the hell they do now. All that other stuff they do now. It
Right.
doesn't need to be all
Exactly.
that. And I really feel a lot of people would go like, "Hey, I want to go see Army of Darkness in theaters right now," and I would go see it.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
So, all right, I got one for you. Who or what got you into horror, and what's the first movie that really scared the shit out of you? Like, damn, this is scary.
Um. Well, the person that I was telling you about, who I went and saw that run of Elm Street at the theater with,
Mhm.
him and I were really good friends, and when I first really understood what Jason was, he drew a lot of pictures of Jason. He kind of knew what it was before I did, and I hadn't even seen the movies yet because I was too young. And he started sketching out pictures of Jason, and I'm like, what is that? I like it. I don't know what it is. He goes, oh, it's Jason. I'm like, because I had heard people. We went to outdoor school in 6th grade, and when you're at the campground and you're little, and some kids they're familiar with what
Mhm.
Jason is and Friday the 13th, and I just wasn't familiar with the characters yet.
Mhm.
And I remember them all. A lot of them were scared at night. Jason, he's out there. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. So I wasn't really scared about it, but I was intrigued. I was like, what is this Jason dude? And he started drawing pictures of this stuff, and that's when I started getting to it and learning about it. And I honestly, I would think that, as a 7th grader, I would come home because your parents aren't around. You sit on the couch with your VHS, and I remember watching the final chapter over and over again,
Mhm.
and that always just whatever Ted White was doing scared the crap out of me.
Yep.
So
That's awesome.
that definitely one of as far as incarnations of Jason, that was the scariest for me.
Okay. Okay. See, me, I don't remember the first horror movie I've seen. I know I got into it young, maybe around between 5 and 7 was the age, and one of my older brothers and like my older cousins and all that, they were at the time they were really into horror, just watching movies in general. But at the time they were really into watching horror movies. And this is back when you go out and actually have to go out and rent a movie and get it on VHS. I know a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
you kids that are listening to this podcast don't know what that is.
Be kind and rewind.
Yes, please be kind and rewind. And real quick, do you remember when some people would have the automatic rewinders on top of their TVs? Take it out the
I
VCR,
still
pop it
have
in there.
mine.
That's
I
awesome.
still have mine.
That's awesome. But the first movie that I remember scaring me was Creepshow Part 2, The Hitchhiker. Thanks for the ride, lady. Like,
Thanks for the ride, lady.
I was so scared of this movie. That little skit from the movie, whatever you want to call it. No, yeah, the movie, the anthology. That I had to ask I don't know if it was my brother or one of my cousins. I had to have them walk me to the bathroom to go use the bathroom, and make sure they stood out there until I was done, and then came back and finished watching the movie. That's the funny thing about horror is like, it'll damn near literally scare the shit out of you, and you still want more. Like and I've been liking it. I've loved it ever since, and now I'm a bigger fan with it than they are. They don't watch it as much as I do. Like some of them, I know my brother will at least, but they'll go watch like the newer stuff, but they won't watch something crazy like Thanksgiving, something weird and out there like Thanksgiving or. something. Ooh, like the B-rated. I'll say like a B-rated movie, or yeah, just something weird. Like, why are you watching this? I'm like, it's a horror movie. Why not?
Well, I look at it like this: when we watch a comedy,
Mm-hmm.
we want to laugh.
Yes.
When we watch an action movie, we want the adrenaline rush.
Yes.
When we watch a horror movie, we want to be scared. I mean, that's why we do it, right? So that's. I remember one of the films that terrified me as a little kid. I think I was in 5th grade when I saw it, and it's really goofy and corny now, but it was a very low budget zombie film called Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things.
Oh, I gotta see it. Never heard of it.
And
I gotta see it.
I remember this was my first, I guess, introduction to zombies and the living dead, and it terrified the shit out of me as a little kid, and it was about these actors that go out and they play this trick on some friends. They're on this secluded island out in New York, and there's this house there in the cemetery, and they dug up the person that was in the grave and replaced it with somebody else who was dressed like a zombie. But they do this strange witchcraft occult chant in playing the trick that they're trying to raise the dead. And then the guy pops out and scares the crap out of their friend. But what they did was they actually did raise the dead throughout the entire cemetery, and they're stuck on this island. And it was pretty cool. And then what scared the crap out of me the most was the fact that the zombies got onto their boat after they were all dead and started heading towards the inland, the city.
Oh, okay.
So that always, that little ending bit always scared the bejesus out of me, because I'm like, they're coming.
Yep.
They're on the mainland now. So as a little kid, your imagination goes crazy.
I was just gonna say that. As a kid, your imagination goes wild, which makes, I guess you can say, it makes horror a little bit more fun in a sense. If you're not too scared of it, but if you have that little imagination, like, Mom, the zombies are coming. She's like, what are you talking about? Shut up, they're not real.
Yeah.
Like, look, I just seen them on a boat going to New York. We live in New York. But yeah,
exactly.
It's what it is with horror too. What I love, and I say this all the time, is horror can go in literally any direction. Like, you can have comedy horror. I'm sure you can have romantic horror. You can have gore horror, paranormal, anything. And people are going to watch it. I don't feel you can do that with any other genre of a movie, as far as, like, yeah, you have the rom-coms, but that gets boring after a while. Those you watch those one time and that's it. A horror comedy, you could watch that. How many times have you seen Army of Darkness? I'm sure you've seen that quite a few times.
Yeah, quite a few times.
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
Another thing with horror, I'll say, I always bring up Thanksgiving. I love that movie. I watched the movie with a killer turkey. A lot of horror fans are gonna say, I want to see that. Why? I don't know why we're like that, but I'm intrigued. I want to see that. Now, if you're
the one with the tire.
Oh, Rubber. I do want to see that. I heard about it. I posted on Facebook. I did not watch it yet. I have to get my hands on that and watch it.
That's great.
But the funny thing is, again, now say Marvel was like, okay, we're going to come out with a movie with a superhero turkey or a superhero tire. People are, why? Why am I even going to waste my time watching something like that?
Right. Well, horror, it's more fun.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny. Horror does not that Marvel does, but horror does not have to make sense at all. And that's what's funny about horror. As a horror fan, we'll question some weird things, like how did he get up from that? Like Jason, for example, like how did he get up from getting shot 10 times? And you're like, that's what you're questioning? You're not questioning how he drowned as a kid and he's an adult now? But this is what's really bothering you?
Yeah.
But I just love it. It's definitely my favorite genre. I mean, I made a podcast for it. I feel like it's the best genre, hands down. And I like how I love and hate how it's becoming more popular in a sense, because I love it because I feel like it deserves the credit that it's getting, but I don't, because I don't want it to be watered down like everything else is.
Well, things have definitely changed as far as what you can see now, and in terms of regulations for the type of blood that you see.
Yep.
Can you show this type of kill, that type of kill? That's all changed. So in a sense, as a filmmaker, you have a little more freedom, and especially with the internet, there are restrictions, but not like there was, back in the day when they really. That's why you get all these cutaway shots for the kills. And it's you see the hack down, but you don't see you only see the aftermath and not the actual.
Yep.
I mean, there's a few things that you could see, like a throat slice or something like that, but there's all those little rules and regulations of how the blood can splatter and how much. It's bizarre stuff, but that's the one good thing about this time period is that we don't have a lot of that anymore.
Oh, I agree with you 100% on that. And another thing, back when you were saying how a lot of the kills are off scenes, a great example of that is the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I remember reading about that, and because I did a podcast on it, and they were saying pretty much for them to have the blood that they wanted into it, they'd have to make it rated X, which I'm like, rated X? That's... When I think of rated X, I'm not thinking of a horror movie. I'm thinking of a whole different kind of movie. I'm not thinking horror at all.
Right.
But I mean, for its time, I understand it. But I will say this, for that movie, and probably for a lot of older movies, the off-screen kills and stuff kind of worked for it. Because it gave you... I mean, I after I read it, I've looked back at it, I'm like, oh yeah, it makes sense. It gave you that sense of like, what the hell, kind of. And it's just... I mean, I love it. I
remember that when Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out in the theaters. That was around the same time that Aliens came out too. And I remember they on the radio they talk about it and they're like, oh man, talking about this heavy rating. And then after you watch it, you're like, that wasn't so bad.
I don't even.
I mean, it was cool, but it wasn't like this really nasty, horrible thing that they made it out to be. It was a good film.
I agree, and I could be wrong, but I don't even think that movie got an R rating, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
because
that's all they needed, really.
Yeah, and I don't even think it got that. Which I'm like, nowadays, if that movie would have came out right now, with the way it was shot, as far as with little to no blood and stuff, I don't think people would like it. Because of what we have out now.
Right.
But, it came out at the right time, and it did set a tone, I will say that. It set a tone, and as a matter of fact, that's another great franchise. I got to watch a few of the other ones, but I love the original of that, and I loved, what was it, the remake 2013? Or was it 2003. I feel like that was like out of all the horror remakes I've seen, I feel like that was probably one of the best ones, if not the best. Even better, I hate to admit this, but even better than Friday the 13th remake from 2009. I liked it. I even loved it, you could say, but I went to see it twice in theater, so I did really enjoy it, but after watching it a few times, I wish it was more serious, less jokey, darker, and had the 80s feel to it. Like, had that 80s feel, just because that's what Friday the 13th is. It has that 80s feel. And I understand they want to do something a little bit different, but I just felt like for that remake, I think it would have done a whole lot better. And hey, it was fun though. It was a fun movie. The kills, as always, were amazing. Had one of my favorite kills, not my favorite, but the upside down sleeping bag kill on fire. That was awesome.
Yeah, the barbecue.
Yeah. How'd you feel about that movie?
I'm pretty much on the same page with you on that. I think they had a missed opportunity. They could have, when you have a budget like that and you have this studio backing, you have a lot of ways to go with that. And I think they really missed the mark in some areas. Granted, a lot of people loved it, but I think that their biggest mistake was trying to use the same formula of, the Paramount stuff, and also people going camping out in the woods, and I mean, I thought Derek Mears did a great job as far as his portrayal of Jason. I wasn't a big fan of look, but like yourself, I don't see why we have to really distance ourselves from the original series as much as we have, as far as the appearance goes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that being said, I think there was some good stuff in it, but I think they missed the mark on it. I think they could have done they had a good opportunity to really do something great, and I don't think they hit it.
I'm with you on that. Like I said, the kills were great. The kills are always great. They never disappoint with the kills in those movies. But I just feel they should have, like you said, more geared more towards how the originals were. Like with great example is the new It. How they had that, you had the '80s feel. All you seen was stuff from the '80s. They should have just did that with Jason, and I feel like it would have been a lot better. And less like I don't mind if there's a little bit of comedy in any type of horror movie, because
Right.
there even in Friday the 13th there were some funny moments from the originals even, but it wasn't like throughout. Like I felt like with the new one it was like throughout the movie here and a little too much more. I feel Jason is more of a serious kind of character. Now with Nightmare on Elm Street or with Chucky, perfectly fine because that's how those movies go.
Right.
But with Jason, it's with Jason. I'll say with Jason and with Halloween, Friday the 13th and Halloween. Those two are more serious. They're more business. Jason and Michael, they ask. Well, they don't even talk. So they ask no questions. They go there, they kill, and then they go about their business and kill somebody else pretty much. Chucky
Right.
and Freddy, they kind of play around with you, toy with you, joke around, and they end up killing you.
Well, and I think when there's comedy or humor involved in a script or something, that's gonna be that's gonna be handled by the casting.
Yes.
If and I think a good example of that is Bill Paxton in Aliens. His character Hicks, who um, he played Hicks, right? Was it Hicks?
I'm not too familiar with the franchise.
No. Anyway, the way he played it serious, but because of his character, the way his character was, there was humor in the way he presented his lines. It
Okay.
wasn't forced to be funny.
Yes.
Just his character, you laughed because of his fear and what was going on in the story in the movie itself.
Mhm.
And I think that's the way it has to be played out. Sure, we all want something to laugh because it makes it entertaining. It's a movie.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
want to be entertained. And with comedy, it's such a touchy area. It's hard to do and to do well, especially if you're just doing a comedy film. So you have to just you know let the character show the humor, not be funny. It's hard to explain,
No,
but I
I
think
get
that
what you mean.
example is too much in the new remake was forced
Yes.
as
Yes.
far as the humor goes.
I get what you mean. Like it wasn't natural. It wasn't natural. It was like, okay, look, at this point, I need you to say this with this face, looking at this angle, and do this kind of smirk. Versus,
Mhm.
look, this is the line. Just make it yours. Pretty much. I mean, I've never been on set. I've never directed, but I just feel. Well, I get what you're saying, and I feel like it was forced in the new Friday the 13th movie with the little bit of comedy they had in it. Versus some of the older movies was just like, hey, here's a goofy part, just make it yours. Like I remember, what was it? Was it the original? When they're getting the camp together, the guy was dressed up. He had the Indian chief thing on. He's jumping around, making noise, stuff like that. That worked for that movie. That was funny. Or
Right, during that time period.
Crispin Glover's amazing dance moves. That that was
Perfect.
that was perfect. That worked.
Yeah, that was a great example, and those are iconic moments as well, because
Yes.
those are the things that we think about when we think of those films. We think about Crispin Glover
Hmm.
and his those moments were absolutely brilliant, and those aren't, a lot of that stuff is on the day when you're shooting.
Hmm.
I don't nobody knew he was going to start doing that. That wasn't planned.
No.
Those were great moments that a good performance delivers.
And
And
yeah, I'm glad they kept it
look,
in the movie.
yeah, oh no, it was great. And that is a testament to probably why Crispin Glover is where he is today, is
Hmm.
because he was able to deliver that kind of stuff. And those are the things that you can't write everything to a T.
Hmm.
The good stuff isn't planned.
Makes plenty of sense. It's you know, you got to improvise sometimes.
Yeah.
And that amazing dancing was. I hope nobody wrote that like, yo, listen, I need you to dance like this. I'm sure that was all him. That had to be all him because I've never seen those moves again.
Yeah. And that's some good stuff right there.
So,
and even Teddy with the computer stuff, you know, that's just,
dead
you know,
fuck.
it's how it's performed, and those are hilarious moments for me. You know, I love that stuff.
Yes, yes,
The computer don't lie.
yes. The dead fuck. Yeah. Oh man, that was awesome. I forgot all about that. That was another good one. Man, that makes me want to watch these movies now. The old ones again. But I don't want to sit here and bash on the new one because I felt like it was good. It was fun. It could have been a lot better, but it was better than Nightmare on Elm Street remake. I can say that.
Yeah. Well, and it's, you know, it doesn't matter because when you're hardcore fans of this,
Oh yeah.
that's we're starving. We'll take the breadcrumbs. We'll take what we can get, and that's, you know, I think what's great about all these fan films coming out is it gives us something.
You see,
You know, it's something to feed us until they figure it out. You know, and make something happen.
and that's what I respect about the fan films, what you just said there. But you're getting it from the fans' perspective, which I just love because it's like you're not getting it from the big money, the big wigs, quote unquote Hollywood. Say some of the people that don't care as much are just doing it to sell tickets. You're getting it from somebody who grew up watching these movies and like, hey, why don't I just try to do my own movie of Friday the 13th or any other horror movie. And so far, the ones that I've seen, I enjoyed every single one of them. And I cannot wait to see your guys' movie because I know it's going to be another awesome fan-made film, and I'm excited for it.
I think it's about taking the old formula and burning it, and taking a new look at how can we. I mean, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. You know, that's the one thing that we're not trying to do. We're just trying to figure out an alternate way to tell the story.
Yeah.
How do we get people into Camp Crystal Lake without using the typical theme? And I think that's what a lot of things are doing with fan films is trying to find a way to, like, an example that I always like to use is the film Predator. That movie was great without the alien. And the alien was the icing on the cake. Obviously, they had to make most of that film because they changed, you know, from the Van Damme alien version to the Kevin Peter Hall version with Stan Winston doing the effects and everything. But they had a lot of that film shot and edited, and you can kind of see that. But that movie got us hooked just as it was without the alien, and I think that shows a great movie when you can get attached to it without focusing. My movie's about a monster.
Yeah.
Or my movie's about this alien. Well, you didn't even know it was about an alien until you watched the film.
Good point.
And that's the brilliance of films like that is you didn't, you know, even like From Dusk Till Dawn. I mean, I was hooked on just following the Gecko brothers getting over the border to Mexico. I was having a great time in that film. And then, you know, it got to this whole vampire thing, but those types of films, if you can get hooked and fall in love with the characters from the beginning, I think you can tell a good story that way.
I agree. And then back to your film, I like how you were saying you guys doing. You're still having that Camp Crystal Lake, but you're doing a different take as how the people are getting there. They're not just going there to party and drink and for every single Friday the 13th movie, for the most part. Which I think what I love about it is you guys aren't taking. You're not taking it away from the camp where Jason's killing. You're still bringing it to the camp where he's doing his business, and I love that.
One of the things that we're touching on that really has been maybe thought of but not delved on as much is that we're with the resurrection of Pam, bringing back his mother.
Ooh.
That's something that I think has been needed to be done right.
Yes.
Because that's in essence, that's why we are where we are now with Jason and Friday 13th, because it started off with his mother,
Yes. And
and so we wanted to touch on that, and by you know by resurrecting Pamela, almost looking scarier than Jason, I think that's going to be a huge game changer for what we're doing.
which that yeah, that's gonna be great. Like I said, I cannot wait for this awesome, amazing film to come out and watch it. Now, it might be too soon to answer this question, but for those of us that weren't lucky enough to be able to back it in time, are you guys gonna have Blu-rays, to sell again, like after the fact, or
Well,
it kind of too
right
early
now
to
the
tell?
campaign, even though it's officially ended, but it's in demand, so you can still go on there and get Blu-rays.
Okay.
As of now, I'm not sure when we're gonna officially cut it off, and it's one of those things where we'll look at it and see if it's something we can do at a later time. It's obviously there may be a change. I mean, we've sold close to 500 now
Oh, that's awesome.
through the campaign. So, and that's pretty cool considering the fact that people haven't even seen the film yet.
Hmm.
So, there's a bit of a trust issue with backers and your film at this point. So, that's one of the things we're really working hard and want to do this right. But I think we'll probably do a second run once it launches. It'll probably be a little different as
Okay.
far as the incarnation, unless we buy a bigger stock and have
Hmm.
left over, and then we'll do a second run if need be. But yeah, those are things that are up in the air. But as of now, the campaign is still live. So if anybody wants to get in on one now, they can.
Good to know. And I say that because, again, I told you I was recording with one of my good friends right before we started recording, and he was like, I didn't even back this one yet. So I can let him know the campaign's still running, and he can still get the Blu-ray because he's another big, huge horror collector, movies and all that. And as I said earlier, we really try to support the independent horror movies because I feel like you guys are like the backbone of horror, and it's in a way. And without you guys, there's not going to be all the other stuff with the horror. And I say that because everybody starts from indie. Everybody start. You know what I mean? Not
Right.
every no, but if everybody started in Hollywood, we would all be in Hollywood, but we're not. So you have to, you guys are gonna do something great, work your way up, and go from there. But it's like you guys are starting from somewhere, and you guys are like the backbone, which keeps this going. And then you guys have another awesome thing about you guys with the independent film directors and all that is you have fresh ideas, which is especially in horror, it's needed. Like I love, don't get me wrong, I love all the old ideas. I love the slashers and all the campiness of it. But I also love when somebody has, even if it's a slasher, a fresh idea for this slasher. I'm like, okay, this is cool. So this is why they're coming to Camp Crystal Lake because they're trying to get away from this or do this, and this is why they're doing that instead of okay, let's just go to this camp. We heard people got killed here, but let's go here anyways and hang out.
Right.
Nothing's gonna happen.
Well, and that's we wanted to take the a lot of the tones that sat with Friday 13th and me were it's building up to that mentally. If you
Hmm.
have a mental scare, and that was always old Ralph with the place has a death curse,
Oh man.
and that's one of the things that we want to have a little bit of that feel and recognize is that the place is cursed, and that when you get to that area, which you'll see, you'll feel that in the film that this isn't a place you want to cross that line into
Hmm.
adventure. This is has that aura around it, that cursed aura where and everybody in the that goes there that is aware of it knows and feels it that maybe this isn't a good idea.
Yep.
This probably isn't a place we want to be.
No.
So,
Agreed.
and that's and like you were saying with independent horror as well. I mean, look at how this all came about with Victor Miller and Sean Cunningham and whatnot. They needed to do a horror film, and that being independent filmmakers. Look how I mean, yes, obviously it was successful in a huge way, but they horror has, for the most part, uh, the best, I think, platform for independent filmmakers
Oh, I agree.
as a whole, because the genre is so open. It's creative, it's fun. You can take the story anywhere,
Yes.
and you're not stuck to a certain criteria. And I think that is what is great about, you go to horror film festivals and whatnot, and you can see so many different ideas out there that have spawned just from the horror genre alone.
That right there is, I never even thought about it, but that's really, really true. Horror, now I could be wrong, but horror is like the only genre that I've really seen a lot of independent films from. I'm not saying it's the only one because I don't know.
Hmm.
It's definitely the most, it definitely has the most independent films, I would say, to the point where people just, there's, I'm sure there's fans out there that just look forward to just, they don't even care about the big releases. It's just like, look, I want just these indie films. It's all I care about, which I think is just, it's awesome. And I just, I can't say it enough how much I love these films and how fun they
Well,
are.
well, I remember scanning on YouTube when I was kind of messing around. I was looking up. I wanted to do a zombie film at one time, and I was searching zombie short films
Hmm.
on YouTube. And I found this one where these little kids made this movie, and they had their Nerf guns and everything, and it was a zombie film where they were, their sister or their brother was playing a zombie, and they were shooting them. And these kids were, some of those kids were just absolutely hilarious.
I
And
bet.
I was dying. I mean, this one kid, I think he got bit by a zombie, and he was on the ground dying, and he was just playing it up, just acting it up. And I think his line was, he goes, before he died, he goes, "Tell my wife I loved her," and just it was the funniest thing.
That's awesome.
And but yeah, I mean, you can nowadays you can take a camera, you can take your cell phone and go make a movie, and get some ketchup or chocolate syrup, and make a horror film.
You're right.
Get a plastic sword or whatever, and go kill your sister and put some fake blood on it or whatever it is.
So
That's
true.
what we can do these days. This is what we have the opportunity to do, and anybody who gets off the couch and does it, bravo to you. I don't care how expensive or how inexpensive it is. If you get out and you start shooting, good for you.
Yeah,
Get out and do it.
exactly. It's just an idea. You have an idea. Just put that idea out there. Show it to the world. You never know. I'll say this: you never know who's gonna see that idea and say, "Hey, let me get in contact with these guys and help them out with a little backing and budget and see where they can really, really take this." I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but
Right.
it's not. I'll say this: it's not gonna happen if you don't do it. There's no way people are gonna be like, "Okay, well, this guy looks like he has a great idea. Let me just let me give him some money and back him because I think he has a great idea." Versus you putting your vision out there and like, "Hey, look, I know the budget was low, but I see what they were trying to do with this. I would love to see what they can do with a budget this big."
Right. And that's the thing about it that's so great, is that we have an opportunity with the cost effectiveness of digital cameras now,
Hmm.
and the way things are done these days. We can still make a great looking film on a lower budget like this.
Very true. Very, very, very true. Now, are you gonna do any other films after this Friday the 13th film? Like, are you gonna do? Or let me ask a better question. Are you gonna do any other horror icons? Would you be open to doing?
Um, I have no idea. You just never know. It's one of those things where it's a lot of work. It
Yeah.
takes, we've been working on this for a couple years now. Just from the incarnation of it to
Hmm.
calling my buddy Carl, who's director of photography, like, "Hey, you want to make a Friday 13th film?" Well, yeah. Okay. What are we doing? I don't know.
Hmm.
Let's work on it. And then I talked to my friend Robert Blanche from Grimm, and he's like, "Well, yeah, we'll start writing. Let's put this together." And you bounce ideas, and it takes time, and eventually it happens. And I will say, if I ever did like another fan film, it'd be either like a Predator film, or I've always loved They Live.
Okay.
John Carpenter. I've always loved that, and to do like my own version of the aliens invading the Obey and all that, and finding a different Roddy Piper to fill the gap. I think that'd be fun.
Nice. That's awesome. Okay. Here's another one, and this one's gonna be tougher to answer because I know you don't want to give out any spoilers. Will there be a sequel?
That's a great question. Honestly, that's going to depend on the fans, on how it's received. You know, if it's received well and people love it, and they're, I especially with working with Vincent DeSanti from Never Hike Alone.
Hmm.
Um, I know he's getting ready for, he doing working on Never Hike Alone too. But it's one of those things where you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, if it's received well and you get a reaction for it, I don't see why we wouldn't want to do it. It'd be great, if we can, because there's a lot of ideas that we've come up with that may not be in this version, this story, but
Hmm.
could work for the next. You know what
Okay.
I mean? So yeah, you never know. You never know.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. And that sounds like it's up to us fans to check out this movie. I know it's going to be great, and we can get a sequel. We want more. We want more Jason. We keep saying we want more Jason. Only way we're getting more Jason is if we support these independent artists. So keep doing
Yes,
that.
support us.
And oh man, I feel. I'll say this too. When the movie does come out or when it's about to come out, give me a heads up. I'll share it as much as I can. And when the movie's actually out, I'll share the YouTube link. And yeah, I want to see this bad too. I might even watch it. Obviously, I'm gonna watch it. I might even watch it live, like as far as try to do like a Facebook Live and watch it, so people can see my reaction as I'm watching it and hear my reaction as I'm watching it. I might try to maybe on a second watch because the first watch I gotta just have peace and quiet and
Just
shut
dive
up
in.
and dive in and really see it. And then after that, my second watch, maybe first watch would be fun, but definitely second watch. Just watch it and record. Kind of like this, but for more people to be able to see it.
Awesome.
And
That'd be great.
I'm so excited for it because I love, like I said, I love horror. Jason's definitely my favorite, hands down. I think he's the best, and I wish you guys the best of luck. I think it's gonna be great.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, we're just, I'm a fan too, so we're trying to just make the best thing for everybody.
Hmm.
We're not saying we're going to make the best film ever. We're just saying we're going to make the best that we're able to do, and not only just make a good Friday 13th film, but make a good film in general.
Yes, which is important. And again, it's coming from a true horror fan's perspective and a true Friday the 13th fan's perspective of how this movie should be. So certain things that maybe you guys wanted to see in some movies, say if a big, if Hollywood or whoever got their things together, Victor Miller and with Sean Cunningham, if they got their stuff together and they're like, hey, this is what we would want to see you guys do.
Right.
And,
And that's it. Is if even if somebody there says, hey, I loved what Never Hike Alone did. I loved what Jason Rising did. I love what Voorhees did, or
yeah,
any of those saying, hey, I like some of this stuff. That's a win.
yeah. Oh, I agree.
Then we achieved something that none of us ever would have thought that we could achieve with these things. That the fans do speak and they do listen. So
Okay.
it's important. It's important that we get these things out and we do the best that we can, because I had this conversation with the other day, and I know that if one of us doesn't do well, then we all fail.
Yes.
And it's important that we all uh, show support, and because these are hard. These are not easy to do. We're not going out in the backyard with the cell phone and just putting our friends in a costume.
Hmm.
We're going out and we're doing a production. We're really creating a full story, of a film that people can sit down, watch, and hopefully feel like they're watching a Friday 13th film again.
Which is, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I just feel nowadays, like you were saying, how I know it's not cheap to do a movie, but I know it's a lot cheaper, so to speak, and
Hmm.
how The equipment is not cheap, but cheaper. It's easier to get these things, and I just love how fans can actually do this on their own and just make an amazing movie, make from their perspective and their ideas or their team's ideas, and put it out there for us fans to watch. And 9 times out of 10, we do love the independent films, and I love how they just keep coming and coming and coming, and I love how a lot of people really do support these films and back these films and champion these films all the time. Especially after they're already out and they see it. Like I would tell people, especially when, like Never Hike Alone, I would tell people all the time, you have to check this film out. It's on YouTube. You have no reason not to watch it on YouTube for free, and it's really good. It was shot really well, and I'll be doing the same thing for you guys as soon as it comes out. Hey, listen, this movie was awesome. Go see it. Stop what you're doing. Turn that game off. Watch this.
That's right. Turn off the game and watch our movie.
Exactly. Turn off the game and watch the movie. And I guess we can kind of wrap up some. Is there anything you want to plug?
Just our Indiegogo campaign's still live, so you can go to Indiegogo and look at Jason Rising, and if you want to snag a Blu-ray, they're still up right now. You can go to our website at jasonrising13.com or on Facebook and stay informed.
Awesome. And I will say this to you. I say this to all my guests. Whenever you get a chance, you can either inbox me or email them to me. Send me your links you were just mentioning, and I have a page on my podcast website page. It's called like Cool Things to Check Out or Cool Pages to Check Out, and I'll post them on there so people can go in there and check out your guys' links. And I'll do the same thing when the movie comes out. I'll post a YouTube link down there. And hey, man, thanks again for coming on. I greatly appreciate
Awesome.
it.
No, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
And when it comes closer, I would like to work with you again when it comes closer, as far as having you on, and even after it's already out, possibly do something again. Because this was definitely fun, and maybe we can even break down or review a Friday the 13th movie together if you want.
That'd be fun too. That's a good idea. I like it.
But yeah, so again, thank you for checking it out. Everybody check him out. And you guys know where you can find me. I'm on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Horror with Search 30 for all that. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,